Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most famous, influential guides to human interaction ever written, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, the original book is a pretty massive undertaking, clocking in at around 45,000 words. But you're in luck, because this explainer distills the absolute best human engineering tactics from the source material into a highly actionable, visual cheat sheet. So let's jump right in.
5.3. According to our source data, that is exactly how many hours it would take you to listen to the audiobook version of this classic. But we're going to save you those 5 hours right now by pulling out the absolute core lessons that you can start applying today.
Here's the wild finding that kicked off Carnegie's entire philosophy. Research backed by the Carnegie Institute of Technology revealed that even in highly technical fields like engineering, your financial success is driven only 15% by your technical knowledge. The other 85%? It is entirely due to human engineering. We're talking about your personality, your ability to express ideas, and your capacity to lead others. That's a massive difference.
So to help you master that 85%, we've organized this explainer into a 5-part cheat sheet. We're covering 1. The human engineering secret. 2. The fundamentals of people. 3. How to be likable. 4. Winning people over. And 5. Leading without resentment.
All right, Section 1, the human engineering secret. Before we can influence anyone, we've got to uncover the fundamental psychology driving absolutely everything we do. It all boils down to this one thing, the desire to be important. Both philosopher John Dewey and psychologist Sigmund Freud identified this as the deepest, most unfaltering urge in human nature. It's what Freud called the desire to be great. William James called it a craving to be appreciated. This isn't just a mild wish, It's a gnawing, rare heart hunger. The source material makes it incredibly clear here. If you can honestly satisfy this craving in others, you hold the ultimate key to influence.
Moving right along to Section 2, the fundamentals of people. This is where we lay down the baseline behaviors for handling folks, keeping in mind that everyone you meet is driven by emotion and ego, not just pure logic.
Just how valuable is emotional intelligence? Well, John D. Rockefeller himself actually said he'd pay more for the ability to deal with people than for any other commodity under the sun. To put that into perspective, Andrew Carnegie once paid Charles Schwab $1 million a year. That was over $3,000 a day back in 1921. And it was largely because of Schwab's immense charm and his exceptional ability to give sincere appreciation to his workers.
When you distill those fundamentals, you get 3 core techniques. First, completely banish criticism, condemnation, and complaining. That stuff just puts people on the defensive. Second, feed that desire to be important we talked about by giving honest, sincere appreciation. And finally, arouse in the other person an eager want. Basically, you've got to focus entirely on what the other person wants, rather than your own desires. As the text notes, literally every act you have ever performed since birth was because you wanted something. So tie your goals to their wants.
Let's move into Section 3, how to be likable. These are the easiest, most practical, and time-tested ways to make people genuinely welcome your presence. So what can a dog named Tippy teach us about making friends? The author shares this really charming story of his childhood dog, Tippy. Tippy never read a single book on psychology, yet he was an absolute master at making friends just by being ecstatic to see people. The takeaway here? You will make more friends in 2 months by being genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Check out this staggering statistic from a famous New York telephone company study. In 500 telephone conversations, the word I was used 3,900 times. It's wild, but it just proves how naturally self-obsessed human beings are. If you really want to be likable, you've got to stop focusing on I and start turning your attention entirely to the other person.
Okay, here's your checklist to instantly become more likable. Start by being genuinely interested in others and offering a genuine smile. Charles Schwab actually said his smile alone was worth $1 million. Next, remember that a person's name is the sweetest sound in any language to them. Be a great listener. Encourage them to talk about themselves and always frame the conversation in terms of their interests. At the end of the day, if you can sincerely make them feel important, you are going to win them over.
All right, Section 4, winning people over. Let's look at the tactics of persuasion. How do you align someone to your way of thinking without ever triggering their defenses?
It all starts with bypassing resistance. Step 1, avoid arguments entirely. You can't win them, because even if you win on logic, you damage their pride. Next, never bluntly say, "You're wrong." The source shares this brilliant trick from Ben Franklin. He actually replaced dogmatic language like certainly with much softer phrases like I imagine or it appears to me. On the flip side, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and enthusiastically. And to kick things off smoothly, find common ground right away so you get a yes response immediately. That moves their psychology into an open, accepting state.
Beyond those initial steps, true persuasion requires you to let them do the talking. Let them feel the idea is theirs, and sincerely try to see things from their viewpoint. The source material urges you to conceptually walk the sidewalk in front of their office in their shoes before forcing an idea on them. Be sympathetic to their desires, appeal to their nobler motives, and, hey, if all else fails, throw down a challenge to stimulate their desire to excel.
Now, for Section 5, the final and most advanced phase of our explainer, leading without resentment. This is how you actually change people's behavior and correct faults without giving offense.
Listen to this incredible anecdote about steel magnate Charles Schwab. He was walking through his mill and saw some of his workers smoking right underneath the no smoking sign. Now, instead of pointing at the sign and yelling at them, he handed each worker a cigar and said, "I'll appreciate it, boys, if you will smoke these on the outside." Think about that. He corrected their mistake indirectly, gave them a gift, and let them completely save face. And they loved him for it.
Notice how a single, microscopic word change can totally prevent a person from feeling attacked. Take the phrase, "We're proud of you, but if you were tartar." That word "but" immediately negates the praise, right? The listener is just bracing for the criticism. Change that one word to "and." So it's, "We're proud of you, and" by continuing your effort. And suddenly, you're calling attention to the desired behavior indirectly. The praise remains perfectly credible, and you avoid all that resentment.
Here's another super practical tip: the immense power of asking questions instead of giving direct orders. In the source material, a vocational school instructor aggressively yelled, "Move that car right now," at a student. The student obeyed, sure, but he resented the guy forever. If the instructor had just asked collaboratively, "Whose car is in the driveway?" If it's moved, other cars could get in. The student would have gladly complied while keeping his pride intact. Literally nobody likes taking direct orders.
So, wrapping up our human engineering cheat sheet, leadership really boils down to these core actions. Always begin with praise and correct mistakes indirectly. If you absolutely must correct someone, talk about your own mistakes first and ask questions rather than barking orders. Let them save face. As they improve, praise every slight step forward. Give them a fine reputation to live up to and use encouragement so faults actually seem easy to correct. Ultimately, make them happy to do what you suggest. We've covered a ton of ground today, taking an entire philosophy and distilling it into a focused toolkit. But as Dale Carnegie noted, this isn't just a bag of tricks, it is a new way of life. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Which of these principles will you challenge yourself to apply in your very next conversation? Go out, test this magic today, and just watch how it transforms your interactions. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.